So welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes and challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this morning, I'm delighted to have with us Sharon Needle, who's the managing partner and founder of Needle Partners. So firstly, Sharon, thank you so much for your time this morning. And if you'd like to introduce yourself and Needle Partners to the audience and let people know what you do and how you help people, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, good to be here. Yes, I'm Sharon Needle, and yes, I am the managing partner. I founded Needle Partners in, October 2007, which makes us like pretty old now.
Wow, well done.
Yeah, just before the recession. Feels a bit similar at the moment, but probably like before we went into 2008. Good timing. But anyway, so we are a corporate commercial firm primarily. Just focusing on general corporate work. That's my background. I've been a corporate most of my career, with a little bit of banking. I was always a bit strange in that way. And we also have a pretty strong commercial property team and a commercial litigation team and employment. So that's what we do. We do a lot of pro bono work as well in various communities, and we're still quite small. We've kind of grown a little bit, shrunk a little bit, grown a little bit, shrunk a little bit. Just kept going really, because I think we kind of enjoy being what we are. We quite like being the smaller kind of boutique firm. We've got a lot of very loyal clients, and most of our work actually does come from referrals, cross referrals. We don't do much marketing at all, to be quite honest. Maybe we should do more, but that's what we are. So yeah, that's me. Needle Partners, still going strong, well-ish, despite all the challenges that we get thrown ourselves, but still going. Yeah, thank you.
Well, really well done. You're probably not, you may or may not be aware of the statistics, but unfortunately, this is not a great thing. But 80% of businesses fail within the first 5 years of operation. And of the 20% that survive, another 80% of those will fail in the following 5 years. So to get to past 10 years puts us in the top 4%.
Yeah, 15 years. Oh my God. Yes, I was a young girl when I started. So
well, so very well done. It really is quite a significant statistic, and so really well done for that. So maybe you'd be kind enough to start by talking a little bit about your background, how you got into business and why this particular one, although I guess law might be obvious, but how did you get into law and various things?
Yeah, well, I actually qualified quite strangely. I qualified in Malaysia as a barrister in 1990, I can't remember, 93 or 94, I can't remember. I've got the certificate somewhere, but I was probably one of the first, I believe I was the first English woman to be admitted to the Malaysian bar. And I had to do bar exams in Malay, because at the time Malaysia was having a project where it used to really was really trying to put the Malay language more into the court system, obviously, which was originally very British. It still is very British based, but the court proceedings had been primarily heard in English, and there was quite a big move to push it into Malay language. So yes, used to go to court and do all those kind of things. But in Malaysia, it's kind of a fused profession, a bit like the States, so a bit like in most places in the world. So I kind of slid more into after doing more litigation in my early kind of practice, I slid more into doing corporate work, M&A work, and also quite a bit of Islamic finance work, because Malaysia was always at the forefront of pushing that agenda as well, really, and being quite innovative in Islamic finance documentation. So I came to England in 1998, around about, after spending some time at a firm in Singapore as well. And I came to the north because my family are from the north, and my grandmother at the time was about mid 90s. So I wanted to spend some time with her. So although I had some offers to go to London, I actually ended up working in Eversheds in Manchester. Yes. And then they kept moving me to Leeds all the time. So I ended up, so why I'm in Leeds. Just kind of unbelievable. Yeah. So that's what I did. And then I had a little detour back to London for a while, working for a US law firm. Came back to Leeds again for family reasons. I'm a mother as well. I've got 4 children, and worked for a few decent smallish firms here actually, because I was still consulting with the American firm. And then I kind of felt like, I don't know why it seemed like a good idea to set up on my own, you know, at the time. So I did. And I set up in my house. I had a spare back room. I had a massive photocopy machine in my hallway, which nobody could get past. And set up with a couple of paralegal type guys. And that's where it all started. So, you know,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. What a great story. What a colourful career all the way through, both geographically as well as the sort of things that you do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you were growing up, was this the sort of thing you saw yourself doing, or did you have any other sort of dreams or plans?
No, not really. I mean, I think I always had a kind of focus on law. I've always been quite interested in it, but no, I didn't sort of wake up one day and say, I'm desperately wanting to be a lawyer or anything like that. So, you know, but it's something that kind of fulfills a lot of me. It's, you know, it's intellectual, which I quite like. It's analytical. It's helping people a lot as well, which is a massive part of it. You know, if you do a good job, you know, if you don't do a good job, then they hate you. But you know, you try to do good jobs. So it's you know, it's about that. And you know, one of the ethos I've always had for Needle was also to be a bit multicultural, because that's my background really. And so, like, the first two guys that worked with me was a guy called Tanika Akunawu, who is Nigerian, and he did his kind of training contract with us. And the other guy was a paralegal. He was a Rastafarian, actually. But sadly passed away a couple of years ago. And we call him Spen. He was called Daniel. And it was just nice to give people an opportunity to qualify when it wasn't that easy. You know, to Black Lives Matter, it was not that easy for people to get the foot in the door. So I can say that, you know, we've been throughout the years of Needle, 15 years, we've trained a lot of people from different communities and given them the opportunity to qualify, and obviously they've gone and they stay in touch. You know, lots of them stay in touch with me. It's great, but they are populating the big law firms in these now, or various places. So, but that's what we did. So it was nice to do that, and that gave me that opportunity to have my own firm and to kind of like direct it in that direction, which I felt was at the time was very important, to have more diversity in law. You know,
I mean, it's wonderful. It makes absolute sense. I was just thinking when you were talking, and when we spoke yesterday, we were talking about Malaysia, and Malaysia itself is such a diverse country with so many different races and religions, and you know, operating in, you know, relative harmony so much of the time. It's a great sort of example of how diversification can really is successful.
I think so. I think my strap line at the beginning was something like, you know, I wanted to reflect the society that we actually are, you know. Right. So I mean, with due respect to law, it has traditionally been very, you know, white male, middle class males, you know. Even being a woman, you know, and you're talking, you know, 15 or 20 years ago, it was very difficult. And I remember when I first came to England, people asked me, didn't you find yourselves, like, you know, did you find prejudice in Malaysia? Because it's, you know, it is quite a traditional society. And I'm kind of like, there were so many strong female managing partners then, you know, which now you hear about it in the UK, but at that time it was unusual. You know, women did not go into law in the same numbers, and certainly they were not promoted in the way that they were, you know, in Malaysia or Singapore or other countries actually. So we have that kind of idea that, oh, we're very progressive, but that's the thing, I felt that we were not really, because you know, I remember, I think being the corporate team, there was maybe a couple of females, to be quite honest. It was terribly male dominated, you know, and the culture around it was kind of like very male dominated, because it was like, do you mind going down the purple door of the customers? You know, well, okay, you know, but not really, but you know, it was still there, you know, and it's changed dramatically in 20 years. It's changed dramatically 20 over years, but the culture was the culture, particularly in corporate or M&A work, you know.
Great. You know, it's great that you've been at the forefront of obviously helping to make those significant changes, and as well as that, what other sort of key challenges have you had to face as you've grown the business?
Yeah, I mean, being a small business, the challenge you've got always is things, obviously cash flow is an issue, lending is an issue, insurance is horrendous. For a law firm, insurance is incredibly, you can't operate without it. And they used to have used to have a thing. We used to have a pool. The SRA, so it used to be a pool that you could go into. But I mean, so a lot of law firms do fail because of insurance. I mean, we've been very fortunate that we've not had a actual claim in the whole of our 15 years.
Right.
Which is quite unusual. But every year it's like, you know, and today I've got an email from our broker, and you just go, you know, it just goes up every year, you know, and it gets more challenging every year. The insurers get more difficult every year. So the smaller firms, and there's a lot of people now coming out, setting up their small firms. It's an incredible challenge, and that's why you start to see them merging again, because, you know, and obviously economy of scale. So all the pleasures of being a smaller business and having the ability to self-direct is great, but you do lack an economy of scale a little bit. So profit will never be as good as it would be if you had a big shed somewhere. You know, I don't mean an every shed, that's for example, but you know, if you were operate like that, you definitely have economy of scale, which we don't have as a small business. And I guess that's the same in every industry as well, you know. And I think for myself, I've been, as a personality, I'm quite cautious, so I've probably not taken the kind of risks that I needed to massively grow. You know, I've had ideas and I've seen other people sort of gallop past me with them. Like, oh, okay, I thought about that. But you know, but I'm quite comfortable doing what I do. We do good quality work. We do a lot of pro bono work. I don't have to ask anybody, can I do what I want to do? And that's a great thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I mean, it's interesting. I've worked with a number of law firms over the last sort of 10, 15 years, and I do. It is my belief, outside looking in, is that the costs of running a firm have increased quite significantly, so that the traditional model for generating profit will naturally erode that profit. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I do think, you know, we sort of do need to change the model of how a legal partnership works to make it as effective as it can be for everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, we were just talking. I was in the office the other day, and I was just talking to some of the more junior members, and you know, we've got a young guy who just joined us as a paralegal, and he's going to do his training contract at one of the big firms in London. He's got a first from Cambridge, but he's coming to us for a year, and he was telling me that one of his girlfriend. One of his girlfriends, I can't remember. Sorry, apologies to him. He started as an NQ on something like £195,000 salary a year. You know, and we all, gosh, I think I might apply to be an NQ in London. You know, because I mean the salaries are extremely high, and in law, obviously, it's not just the salary; it's the cost of it, the practicing certificate, the space sitting in, your hardware, your licenses. You know that. I mean, pension contributions, national insurance, which went up. And all of those factors that really, so somebody on 195 as an NQ who probably doesn't really do that much at the capability level, is probably costing the firm, gosh, 260,000 a year, which,
wow,
that's
significant salaries. And just for the benefit of the audience, an NQ is a
newly qualified lawyer. Yeah, so somebody who's qualified, finished a training contract and passed those exams. Sorry. So it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So that's a big challenge now. So recruitment has been a very big challenge this year because there's been a shortage, and there's been a lot of movement stimulated by COVID and lockdown. You know, and people's fear. You know, people are frightened. So we like I think every firm has got that kind of a little bit of a revolving door at the moment, as I think a lot of businesses have. But yeah, law firms have been particularly. It's absolutely. We've tried to recruit certain categories of people, and the recruitment agencies told us basically haven't got a cat in hell's chance. You know, so okay, so back to the drawing board. We have to look for other people. You know, so it just makes us more innovative, really. The kind of people that we find are more open to some of the people who, you know, foreign qualified lawyers, for example, you know, which is a bit easy to take on with our culture. It's easy for them to fit in as well. So
brilliant. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, across industry at the moment, you know, recruitment and retention is really key. And I think, you know, one thing that many organizations could benefit from is really focusing on the vision, the values of the organization, because those are the things that really attract and retain great people. Because a lot of people are looking for contribution, not just salary, if that makes sense. Clearly, a
Yeah.
very, very high salary is going to turn most people's eyes, but the ability to know they're doing something great and for a great cause.
Yeah.
But many businesses don't highlight their vision and the values, and so it's difficult for someone to actually select us from all the other opportunities they have, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. I think that's correct. But I think the other factors for young lawyers, I think, who've been brought up watching, television programs like Suits, is a glamour factor as well.
Yes. Yeah.
And we have been in the centre of Leeds. And we're based in Chapel Allerton, which is a nice sort of leafy suburb if you're not from Leeds.
Yes.
But great. And I personally I live near there, and quite lots of people who work for Needle actually based pretty nearby, and we like that. We're £5 Uber riding, sorry, £6 probably now, Uber riding to the centre of Leeds if we need to be there, and obviously a couple of hours away when there's no strikes. So yeah, but I think that we're not glamorous. We are a bit, maybe I'll use the word bit hippie-ish, bit, so it's, we don't have a marble. You're not walking across, 50 meters of marble banking space, think about firms that collapsed in the last recession. But that's where we are. But apart from that, we try to keep work within a reasonable hours as well. You're not working till 1 a.m. morning, yeah. Which when you're on 195 as a newly qualified lawyer, you probably will be doing, So the things that people value with rates, a lot of those things actually as well, though, we have to be realistic about it. Putting in place values and implementing values cost money to firms as well. So unless you've got an absolute passion for them, which I have, I've got an absolute passion for diversity and helping diverse communities, and the firm has, obviously, because I've got to get there. But unless you have that passion, it does come at a cost, actually. And we're not doing it to tick a box. We don't go out there and say that's what we do. We do it actually because that's part of our, our belief system, really. So, but it comes to cost. It comes to cost. Yeah.
Yes. No, I understand that. And what would you say some of the biggest learnings you've had about business as you built your own business?
Every single aspect of it, really. Like many professionals, we're never trained to be business managers.
Yes.
Or people persons, we just train, so learn, from the very beginning, I've always said, I like to know how law firms make money, because I've absolutely no idea, really, apart from that, bulk stuff. But it's always, just absolute learning curve, going back to attracting people, retaining people, realizing what retains people, and realizing we can't fulfill that as a small business. Let's be honest, we have to give other things. So there are people who we can retain who like what we've got. We can't compete with the bigger companies, but we can't. We can compete in terms of work. We're often on the other side of very big law firms in terms of work. But and just the basic factors that you learn about, which nobody told you about in law school, the accounting, the banking, cash flow, paying salaries at the end of the month, which is always a nightmare, all of those factors. Absolutely every factor about business.
Brilliant.
And I do say that to clients. I'm a business owner as well, so I do get it, which is quite helpful. Whether you're a company lawyer or you're a litigator, as a business owner, you understand what people are going through, really. Or even in employment law, we go through it as well. So absolutely. I think, but we didn't learn it in law school. I didn't learn it as a professional. Yeah,
it's bang on, and that having that empathy and rapport with your client as a business owner, I think it's really important, because it is understanding what they want. But it's classic, not just in the professions, but in general, most small businesses are started by people that are good at what they do. They're not necessarily good or trained at running a business at what they do, and they're two different things.
Absolutely. And as a small business, you can't necessarily buy that. I always say that about like HR or training, for example. If you're in a very big firm, you have a whole team of raft of those people. Like us, we don't. We do a lot of it ourselves. We outsource things, but because we can't. We obviously can't afford to have 5 HR people and 10 training people. So there's things like that which, as a small business, is very difficult to supplement. To be quite honest, So I think the world that we're in now, and I think lockdown did help us a lot. A lot of things we can outsource much more than we used to be able to do. I think other alternative businesses have kind of cropped up, to things like we outsource our cashiering function actually at the moment, which we do quite well, which is brilliant because we don't have to deal with things, and I don't mean we disparage, we don't have to deal with maternity or sick days or, oh my goodness me, they're off for 2 weeks. It's like there's always somebody there. It's not our problem, the money for the people, which is brilliant, So that kind of thing for a small business, I think is something that's really worth exploring. Compliance as well for us is a massive issue. We do most of it ourselves. Some of it we try to outsource it as well. But all everything comes at a cost, and we have all these things that we have to do, which come off the line. So it's trying to be profitable with all of these factors, adding these factors in. So it's not easy.
It's very much a juggling act, isn't it? It's so difficult as a business owner, and it is mastering it is a hell of an achievement. So the fact that you've been doing that for 15 years is very much to your credit. So I think you're aware we're a business coaching organisation, and I'm interested to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's in business or sport or life in general.
I've not really worked terribly formally with coaches, I'll be very honest with you. There's a guy called David Criddle. I don't know if you've heard of him. He did some coaching with us for a while, and he's a great guy. Again, it's one of those, it's another cost factor, and I'm sure you disagree with me because maybe it's like, actually that we need to do that. It was always like, oh, can I afford to spend £3,000 on coaching, or do I need to put it into that? And I think as a small business, that's always a challenge, to be quite honest, the cost factor. Although I think looking back, I regret doing that. I think that I wish I'd actually put more effort into perhaps bringing more external people in to advise. I think,
It's an interesting thing, and it really questions just about coaching in general. But I think the thing is that, and it's very true in business owners in general, is when is it a cost, when is it an investment? And if it's only a cost, then it has no return, and therefore it's money going out, not coming in. It needs to be seen as an investment, which means I'm going to make more money from doing it than investing in it. And if we can't see that or believe in that, then yes, it's a very difficult investment to make.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. But I think I mean, obviously, like everybody else, I read a lot. I read, I sort of scan things for free. Various kind of. I do read stuff on HR. I do read stuff on marketing and management. And things like that. I do subscribe to things like Mind Valley actually, which I find it's got some quite helpful hints as well.
Right.
So and we do kind of. There's quite a number of us got our own firms. We do sort of coach each other, like, oh my God, so we do a lot of that, like, what should we do, so there's a number of people like that we, I can stay close with, and we all have the same challenges, really. We do, so which is cool.
It's a great way of doing it. To mutual support, really valuable.
But I probably would say, yes, I probably should have invested a little bit more in that. I think it might have helped me through some of the, challenging times that we've had, And I think 2008 was a massive challenge.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yes, without this turning into a sales pitch, I think the key thing about coaching and having a coach, and I have my own coach, is that very few of us can actually achieve our potential without somebody else holding us accountable, if that makes sense. It's not a whether or not, it's just that function of somebody else outside seeing what we can't see and challenging us on various areas is a valuable thing. It needs to give a return, but it's just to that. But a lot of people talk about it's often the parents. I spoke to somebody yesterday who said his dad was a great coach, always sort of held up the mirror to him in his business at various points with just a simple statement or something, and it helped him just get through.
I think that's absolutely correct. I mean, one of the things I'm doing at the moment, I'm training to be a yoga teacher as well. In my spare time, because not much of it, but I'm doing that. It's an 18-month course. I'm halfway through it now, so it's quite an intense course actually. But there's a lot of mentoring in that course, and I
Right.
went out like with our mentor. There's a group of 5 of us with one mentor, and that was really helpful, to have somebody's perspective on that, and that actually did make me think last night. Maybe I should have done that with this business, So I'll be looking at needles, Sharon Needles, the yogi lawyer next, so it might be something like that. So,
another point of difference. Wonderful. And have you picked up any favourite quotes? I love picking up quotes and sayings that people use on a regular basis. Is there anything that you find yourself saying regularly?
I do a lot of like keep going, keep going.
Just keep going. Absolutely.
Yeah, going, honestly, just keep one foot in front of the other, and I've learned really that things are going to be okay. I do trust in that it's going to, they are, if you keep trying to do what is right, they do turn out to be okay, really. So keep going. But as I said earlier on, I'm by nature quite a cautious person, so I try not to overstretch ourselves financially and things like that. I mean, actually, we haven't as a business had an overdraft in 15 years, which is absolutely bonkers when I think about it. But is also a reflection of how we've kind of managed the business, So I try to and again, it's another form of investment. You invest when you feel like there's a return. I think in law it's quite difficult to evaluate that. I think in other businesses it's a bit easier. You buy more X's to produce more widgets, for example. In law, massive financial investment is interesting unless you've got a really good knowledge of what's going to come in to support it. And we know that because lots of law firms do collapse. Big ones collapse. But keep going. Just trusting the process, trusting yourself. I think really, trusting what I've got my dream of what the outcome is. Retirement on a nice Caribbean island somewhere. But trusting the outcome of what's going to happen, really. And the blessings of having your own business, of course, as well is in law particularly, there is still a lot of ageism.
Yes.
It's great to be, to be honest, as long as subject to your faculties still being there, you can keep going as long as you want. That's one of the advantages of being on your own. Lots of inspirational quotes. Actually, I do read a lot of stuff like that and get inspired on a daily basis, but nothing specific really.
It comes to mind. I interviewed a lady a little while ago, and one of the things she said, which I thought was great, was that we've all survived 100% of our problems to date.
Yeah, that's right.
It resonates with what you said about we've got through so far, and that's that's a track record. So it's a reasonable track record to fall on that we can continue to do so. But no, just keep going. I think the quote that's most similar to that is, I think it was Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, just keep going. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, right. I probably still there actually. Yeah, you're right.
That's great.
Enjoy it because it's so much part of your life. If you're not enjoying it, I couldn't sit here every day and be miserable about it. I have to feel some passion. Just even the passion of getting a new referral or a new client. I'm speaking to a new client after this call actually. Somebody that I worked with in 1998 referred to me actually.
Wow.
So and you never know what's going to come out of these things. There's always an opportunity, So I think you have to love it. You have to love what you're doing. You definitely have to have that passion for it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just going to crawl back into bed when you're working from home and just go like, I can't be bothered, probably, sit down and watch daytime TV, which I don't ever actually do. But I think I love what I do. Actually, I love it. I love to help people. I love to solve problems. Actually,
Wonderful. And on that note, what were some of the things you've learned about yourself as you've developed your career and your business?
I think I've learned that I'm much more resilient than I thought I was.
Yeah.
I thought I'm more of a flighty person, but I'm actually. I suppose looking back at 15 years and sitting here thinking about that, I'm a lot more resilient than I thought it was. And
Brilliant.
People can come and go. People can say all kinds of things about you. People can throw stuff at you, but I'm resilient. Yeah, I'm resilient and I'm optimistic. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Optimism is absolutely essential. I think it's
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it's interesting. We've got to, we've got to work on it. It's something
Yeah.
that some people naturally do it, and that's great.
Yes.
But it's something to continue to work on and continue to strengthen.
Yeah.
Because the challenge of falling from optimism for optimistic people is a big challenge, because if we lose that optimism, then it
Yeah.
hits us a lot worse than
Yeah.
people that are less optimistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's something to continue to reiterate and reaffirm on a regular basis, that the optimistic part of what we do.
Yeah. And sometimes as well, it's learning to have to take a few steps backwards to go forwards again, and not to let your ego get in the way of that, because you kind of think, wow, I used to have a much bigger office and employ 5 times more people, and now I've got a smaller office. Well, not that small, but still paying a lot of rent, but a smaller office, and we're slowly growing back again. But there's a time, obviously, when, wow, okay, that wasn't working. So you have to sometimes just like regroup a little bit and not be afraid to do that, and not let your ego get in the way of that. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that fails people a lot. I can see from clients in businesses is your ego, like, oh, I used to be that, and also not be afraid to let go of parts of your business. I mean, people, again, from clients, I learned that, yeah, but I own 100% of it. Yeah, but you own 100% of nothing. If the investor comes in, you own 20% of this, and it's kind of, again, that's very ego driven. And I think those of us who start up our own businesses, perhaps we do have a little bit of an ego. And it's just understanding, like, that's a great thing, that if that propels you into business, that's fantastic. But that becomes a blockade to you, then you need to let go of that, So
I do a lot of work with people's belief systems, and belief is what we hold to be true. It's not necessarily true, it's just what we believe. Exactly. And beliefs are great, as long as if they're too strongly held, they can create very blinkered thinking. In your example of, I have to own 100% of my company, that's that you don't have to. And what would be the implications if you didn't? And when we catch ourselves saying must, have to, can't, these are beliefs that are so strongly held we can't see an alternative. And that's where stress comes, because we can't see an alternative, and the current situation is not what we want. We become in a stressful place. So being able to, actually, I can choose to do this, and what if I did do it? What would it be? And it certainly allows us to de-stress the situation and open up opportunities, I think. So it's it's a great thing. So being optimistic, hopefully, what does the future look like for Legal Partners, and what do you see the main challenges as you move forward, if you have any at all?
Yeah, well, actually, because we have regrouped a little bit, and now we're starting to into another growth spurt, I hope.
Right.
We've taken on some kind of work that we didn't think we'd ever do, but which potentially is more profitable, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I think I've used the word diversity in a different context, but I think diversity of our offerings is important as well, because I think that's something I've learned. We are pretty busy at the moment, actually. I mean, we're actually too busy at the moment.
Right.
We can take on new clients, but hey. But
well said.
Yeah, but we are very busy, and but so we are recruiting. Recruitment has been very challenging, but we're recruiting because to respond to being busy and response to probably some quite interesting things that are happening. One of the things I did fairly early, I think I did it about maybe 8-9 years ago, as a law firm. Quite early, and compared to a lot of other bigger law firms, we became an alternative business structure, which meant we could have non-lawyer investment in the business.
Yes.
I never really opened the door to that, but I have talked to a few people recently about that, because again, it's going back to that whole thing I tell my clients: what's the point of having 100% of nothing? So any interested investors out there want to come in and hear my really exciting ideas? I'm very happy to talk to you. So. It's time to blow my own trumpet. So
absolutely.
Just looking for opportunities to grow. But we're a clean, good business. I mean, we're a clean, good business. We're known we're known for doing very good quality work. Yeah. In all areas, and I think it's an exciting platform, and I'd like to be part of seeing it become something else. even if I'm not 100% part of that, I'd like to see some of the people that stayed with me who've been very loyal, that they get a part of that as well.
Right.
And we just continue to grow, to something good. We're not leaving behind the core values that we originally had. I think that's very important. Yeah,
brilliant. And there's some structures that allow you to do that, obviously, quite well.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I mean, you just sparked something there, because I remember working with a law firm, and that will be 14, 15 years ago, about that, and when alternative business structures were first introduced, and there was a lot of fear in the whole industry, wasn't there, about Tesco law and all the idea that law firms were, and it's a great example, perhaps, of how fear is a false expectation as opposed to being reality. It was easy for many people to see the potential negative of Tesco's having a massive law firm and nobody getting any business, but the reality being law in general, that personal law, that it requires the personal touch and the specialisms of businesses like yours.
Yeah, well, I mean, 15 years ago, a lot of law firms were still, terribly traditional. They've come from a very traditional background. I mean, under the Act, there was a very limited number of partners you could have. So I know, big firms like Adelshaws, just to go these bigger firms, they've had maybe 16 or 18 partners, not that long ago, really. And I think things like alternative business structures, people were very frightened of that, because they're also used to the sort of rather kind of posh professionalism that we have, people are very used to having the secretary do things for them, a nice cup of tea and custard cream brought to you in the afternoon, and that's all gone, secretaries, I wish, so, but it's just changed, and we've got to really be open to change. We really have to be open to change. And I think some of the firms that are struggling are the ones that they just can't get their head around that. I think that's a difficult thing, I think for us, because I probably pushed that change quite early, when I started, really I was already challenging, I think, at the time, that it's not difficult, and anything new that comes in, anything that's innovative is really interesting. I mean, we did things like we've been online with everything for a very long time, actually. Even voiceover IP phones and stuff like that we've had in place. So when that lockdown came, we just like, right, okay, no problem, plug in somewhere else. It didn't make any difference to us whatsoever. So which is something, but we were dealing with firms at the time who just really struggled with it. They couldn't cope. We've got access to, we don't know where our files are, ours are online, so but change is a good thing. Change is a good thing. Challenge is a good thing. You have to be brave with it, but challenge is a good thing. If you find it uncomfortable, you have to go back and investigate. Okay, why am I feeling comfortable about this challenge? Right. What is it inside myself? Do some self-reflection on that, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No,
very,
my yoga teacher training coming out, you see. So
great. No, I mean, it's absolutely bang on. That's great coaching. It is understanding why I would have that reaction to that situation, and the more we can turn it into logical thought. There's a great book called The Chimp Paradox by a guy called Dr. Steve Peters, and the chimp being our subconscious immediate reaction to something, which is typically the flight or flight situation.
Definitely.
And the more we can pre-program it to say, well, look, if this happens, it's okay, we'll do this. The more we can reduce those times when we get fear or stress or various other things, because we see the stimuli for what they are, information that we have to process. Wonderful. Well, just one or two things before we close, Sharon. What would you say to anyone that was thinking of going into business right now?
Kind of lost you there.
Oh, sorry.
Going into any,
What would you say to anyone that's thinking of going into business right now?
If that's what your passion is, and you have passion at the core of that, then I would say go for it.
Brilliant.
Have your massive expectations, but have a realism around, have a realistic protection around that. So be optimistic, be realistic at the same time. In terms of your growth. I mean, it's going to be challenging, but in every challenge. I mean, we found in 2008, we got a lot of people joined us, actually, because I felt very sorry for people who got kicked out. So I've got a few pieces of work. Yeah, come on, it's fine. Yeah, you know, and what I should have done was become like a gonna cook, you know, because I should have done that at the time. I thought about it at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't do it, you know. When they popped up later, I was like, oh, anyway, never mind. But you know, I think you know, just be aware that as you go forward, whatever you plan. I've always had this idea about business plans. I think they're great, but you know, they've got to be very flexible, and that flexibility might be carrying them up actually and starting again. But I mean, you know, if you have a great idea and you have a passion for your great idea, and you feel that, you know, working on your own, because you are on your own a lot sometimes, you know, is what you want to do, then I would absolutely go for it and take the opportunities, because we know that, like the businesses that thrived in lockdown, for example, or the businesses that thrived during recessions, that there are many there. Take that opportunity, you know. Obviously, don't go into a traditional business which isn't going to thrive, because that's dangerous. You know, but just go for it. Go for it. Trust your own guts. I think, you know, it's quite important to do that as well.
That's very wise words from a self-confessed cautious person. So brilliant. Love that advice. And if you started your business again, is there anything significant you think you might do differently?
I think I'd have been more open to financing than I was. I think that I would be more open to financing. Perhaps I would. But, you know, I look back and I feel sad for some of the mistakes I've made, and I feel sad for people who've gone because I've made mistakes and who didn't feel secure enough or something like that. But on the other hand, you know, I'm also very happy. You know, the fact is that I still am very much in contact with a lot of my ex-staff. So people have to go. You have to understand that as well, you know. But yeah, probably I would have taken more financing. I probably would have done more coaching. Yeah, I would. Yes, I think that's right. Yeah, I probably would have expended some money on that kind of area as well. But fundamentally, you know, I did what I did. You know, I did it my way. So you know, so I did what I did, and the mistakes I made are my mistakes, and I am still a happy person. And you know, my business is still here. So, and I've got a lot. I think I've got a lot of happy clients as well. So yeah,
brilliant. Yeah. No, I find it an interesting question, because I think it's good for self-reflection, just, you know, but, you know, the reality is we're all where we are right now as a function of all the decisions we made and actions we've taken over time. So if where we are is a great place, then, you know, we wouldn't want to change anything, because that classic butterfly effect or sliding door effect of change one thing and we might have been in a different place. So I you know, my general belief is, you know, it's a journey we go on to get here, and that's great. But I think it's a good way of just self-reflecting. You know, we don't know if we'd have done something differently, whether we still would have been where we wanted to be. But
exactly. And you know, and I think, you know, I try not to look too much behind. I try not to look too much in front. I try to, like, okay, we're here now today, and you know, stresses that we get every day, we just deal with them. You know, generally, you know, pressures of work, you can manage them. You know, you can tell people, look, sorry, a bit overworked today, deal with it tomorrow. But we are where we are today, and that's all we can appreciate really in this life, isn't it? You know, so
absolutely. I'm trying to think of the quote. One of my friends, one of the guy I worked with had a great quote from Kung Fu Panda, which was basically the past is gone. It's basically something like, the past is gone, so it has no impact. The future hasn't happened, don't worry about it. So today, let's value today, and that's why it's called the present. It's a gift, something like that. It's quite
yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Go on.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. That's probably how I live my life anyway. So
brilliant. Brilliant. And one last question: if you, what advice would you give to an 18-year-old you if you're able to go back in time and do so, Sharon?
Oh gosh, well, be a hairdresser. Don't know. Do you know what? I've lived the most incredible life. I've had experiences. I can't tell you all about them here, but I've had so many. From 18, I've had such a diverse, weird life, and that's because, well, I say I'm cautious, but I'm also a risk taker, I suppose. Differently. So I've done things like, how did you end? I don't know what, you know, but that's because, like, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. So I think that I think she did okay. That 18-year-old girl, she did all right. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Could have made more money.
Fantastic.
Could have made more money, but you know what? It's fine.
Yeah. You can't eat it. You can't live underneath it. It's
Exactly.
ultimately the thing we remember our experiences rather than
Yeah.
the amount of money we made. So
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. And just finally, thank you so much for everything. If anybody listening to this wants to get in touch, whether they're a potential client, potential team member, what's the best way of getting hold of you or Needle Partners?
Yeah, sure. Well, my email is actually on my website, which is, if you just Google needlepartners.com. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm Sakina Sharon Needle. Or my email address is sharon.needle@needlepartners.com. But, you know, sure, if anybody wants to have a chat or, you know, or criticize what I've said, or say, no, I hated you, I used to work for you 10 years ago. That's also good. That's also cool. But, you know, yeah, it'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice to hear from anybody, you know, and if anybody wants setting up their own business and they want help for that, you know, even if it's just a sounding board, you know, then we're very welcome to that. And like I say, we do a lot of pro bono work, and we're always help, you know, I'll always give an hour of my time for free to people anyway, if they want to chat about some things. So it's fine, you know. It's about karma, so you get it back, don't you? So yeah,
absolutely, couldn't agree more. Well, Sharon, thank you so much. It's been fascinating and really entertaining, and there's some real gems of knowledge in what you've said. So thank you so much. And it'd be great to maybe circle back in a year's time and see whether the growth that you're planning and going through is, and how what stage we are then.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you so much.